Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're zeroing in on something, well, pretty universal, I think. The Art of Letting Go. We've been digging into an ebook review of The Art of Letting Go by Nick Trenton. It's basically a guide, right? Crafted to help you release burdens, find some inner peace. Our mission here is to pull out those really practical nuggets, the stuff that can genuinely help lighten your emotional load.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating how much unseen emotional baggage we all tend to carry, isn't it?
Totally.
Whether it's that lingering sting of old resentments, maybe echoes of toxic relationships, or just that heavy weight of regret.
Or even just fear, right? Fear what's next.
Exactly, the fear of uncertainty. And Trenton's book, it offers, well, a kind of tangible path, a way to get some freedom from that invisible weight, maybe make it feel more manageable.
Okay, so you're talking about shedding burdens that can feel almost like part of us. How does Trenton's book actually approach that? What's the core idea behind helping us untangle all that?
Well, the book's core philosophy is actually quite empowering. It suggests that while, okay, we can't erase the past.
Right, you can't change what happened.
No. But you can choose. You can choose not to let it dictate your present or your future. It really digs into why we cling to things that hurt us.
Which is a big question.
Huge. Often it's habit, or fear of the unknown, maybe even a sort of misguided loyalty. And then, crucially, it shifts into the how we can actively start letting go. The book's structured around specific challenges, too. Things like intrusive thoughts, managing emotional pain, breaking unhealthy attachments. It's a mix of accessible psychology insights and actual exercises you can do.
Okay, that balance, insight, and action, that sounds really compelling for you listening. Can you give us an example? What are these practical tools? What's it offer beyond just theory?
Absolutely. It definitely moves beyond just talking about the problem. It gives you concrete techniques. So, for instance, reframing negative thinking. It guides you to challenge those really absolute statements like, I always mess everything up. We all do that sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Guilty.
And instead, it encourages you to reframe it. Something more balanced, like, okay, I've faced challenges, sure, but I've also had successes. It's about building a more, well, realistic inner story.
Makes sense.
And similarly with mindfulness, it's not about hours of meditation necessarily. It's practical, present moment stuff, like a simple exercise. Notice 5 things you can see, 4 you touch, 3 you hear.
The grounding technique.
Exactly. That kind of thing. Just to ground yourself, shift your attention away from that unhelpful rumination.
Like constant looping in your head.
Right. That repetitive dwelling on the past or worries that just doesn't really help.
So it's really about giving you a toolkit, ways to actively redirect your mental energy. What makes Trenton's approach maybe unique here, or particularly valuable for someone maybe just starting this kind of journey?
I think what stands out is its warmth, its empathy. The tone is just really supportive. It makes difficult topics feel safer to approach. And it's incredibly accessible.
Not bogged down in jargon.
Not at all. No dense academic stuff. If you think big picture, it's really designed for a wide audience. It offers broad guidance, practical first steps. It's not aiming for, deep therapy techniques or complex science.
Okay.
Think of it like a supportive friend in book form, helping you navigate these internal struggles.
I like that. And that hopeful message that letting go isn't forgetting. It's about choosing freedom. That sounds really empowering. But you also mentioned it's somewhat surface level. Could you expand on that? Who is this book really best for?
Yeah, that's an important distinction to make. While it is genuinely practical, very encouraging for anyone wanting a bit more peace day to day.
Which is most of us.
Right. But it's also crucial to understand it's not a substitute for professional therapy. It doesn't really dive into the super deep, complex stuff someone might need for, say, severe trauma or clinical conditions.
Got it. So manage expectations.
Exactly. It's especially good for people who like self-help that's easy to read, straightforward, gives you things you can try, right away. Tangible exercises, think of it as a really excellent starting point, a gentle nudge towards feeling a bit lighter emotionally.
So this whole exploration of the art of letting go, it really seems to highlight that reclaiming your present, finding that freedom from emotional baggage, it isn't some, huge, impossible mountain to climb.
Not necessarily, no.
It might just be a series of small choices, intentional steps away from being weighed down.
And the most valuable knowledge, isn't it always the stuff that's understood and applied?
Sure.
So maybe ask yourself, what concrete step, even a small one, could you take this week? Something to start releasing a burden that maybe just doesn't serve you anymore.
Yeah.
How might choosing not to let the past define your present How might that fundamental